You just feel stuck, like you're not driven the way I am. That's what Madison told me, right before she broke things off halfway through dinner. Over a plate of grilled salmon I paid for at a restaurant I booked because she'd been so stressed at work lately. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back. A year ago, things looked perfect from the outside. We were 3 years into dating. Madison worked in HR at a mid-sized tech company in San Francisco, climbing the ladder doing late-night Zoom calls with Europe talking about culture decks and employee experience. She loved her job, or said she did. Me, I ran a plumbing and property maintenance business. I know total blue collar. But I wasn't just fixing sinks. I had 3 crews, steady contracts with residential complexes, and was quietly building a software system to manage workflow, automate quotes, and handle invoicing for small trades companies. My dream was to eventually spin it off as its own thing. But I didn't brag. Not my style. I thought showing up and being solid meant more than flexing. Madison used to say she loved how grounded I was, how I made her feel safe, how I didn't play games. That tune changed the minute her company hired Tanner Quinn, a flashy, overconfident ex-Google douchebag who walked around like he owned the building by day 2. Last summer, things shifted fast. Madison started talking different, not just corporate speak, but stuff like, "You ever think about going back to school? You're really talented. Maybe you should consider getting a mentor. Tanner says it's about leverage these days, not just hard work." And I was like, okay, where's this coming from? It got worse. She'd come home late drained, but wouldn't really talk. She'd scroll Instagram, see her coworkers at these rooftop parties, or work retreats and sigh like she was missing something. And I started feeling like I wasn't in the picture anymore. Still, I tried. I showed up, fixed her leaky shower, bought her that standing desk she said her back was killing her over. Hell, I even designed a little HR feedback plugin for my system and asked if she wanted to try it at her company. She laughed. "Aw, babe, that's cute, but our team uses Notion and Culture Amp. It's more scalable." I didn't say anything, but I felt it. That sting. Like I was being looked down on by someone who used to look up to me. Then came the dinner. It was just a Thursday. I wasn't even planning anything big. But she walked in with that weird energy. The "we need to talk" vibe you don't want to feel before appetizers. She said she'd been thinking. That we were on different paths. That she was tired of feeling like she had to carry the ambition in the relationship. That I lacked vision. "You're amazing, you really are," she said, "but I just need someone who matches my drive." Bruh, WTF. I didn't even argue. I paid the bill, drove her home, didn't say much. My mind was spinning too fast to land on anything. That night, I stared at my laptop for hours. I had a prototype of my system sitting half-finished on the desktop. The name of the file, V1 Lumenwork Core. I opened it, and I started building. 2 weeks later, I saw the Instagram story. Madison, at a team happy hour, laughing with Tanner. His hand was on her waist. So yeah, that happened fast. I didn't text, didn't rage, just saved the video, closed the app, and went back to work. That's when I made a decision. Not to get petty, not to beg, but to build the thing she said I wasn't capable of building. 6 months later, things started taking off. The tool Lumenwork started spreading. First in my industry, then a couple of others. I pitched it to a few people in my network, got one angel investor on board, then another. Suddenly, I was sitting in a WeWork office across from an actual VC, asking if I could scale. I hired a lean team, built out features, focused on HR automations for mid-tier companies that didn't want to pay $20K/year for bloated platforms. We grew fast, quietly, steadily. And then last month I got an email from a consulting firm representing, drumroll, Madison's company. They wanted to explore acquisition of a smaller HR software firm to modernize their stack. Lumenwork was on the list. I laughed so hard I had to step outside. This morning I walked into their building, not as her ex, not as the handyman with a hobby, as the guy about to buy their entire HR ops platform. I wore the same boots I'd worn when I installed her water heater 2 years ago, just for fun. Tanner introduced me to the team, I kept it professional until I saw Madison walk in. She went pale. I smiled. Hey, Mads, it's been a minute. So yeah, I'm standing in their lobby, wearing boots and a button-up. The guy who lacked ambition. The guy who wasn't visionary enough. And now I'm about to become their parent company's newest acquisition. I locked eyes with Madison and gave her the smallest smile I could manage without it turning into something petty. Hey, Mads, it's been a minute. She blinked hard, like she was trying to convince herself it wasn't me. Tanner, oblivious as hell, shook my hand and said, "This is Ethan Rivera, CEO of Lumenwork. Excited to have him here. Big things ahead." No one noticed Madison take 2 steps back like her legs had suddenly turned to mush. We sat down for the pitch meeting. I kept it clean, straightforward. Walked them through the back-end infrastructure, onboarding, workflow, AI scoring. All the stuff they claimed to care about. I didn't even look at her the whole time, not once. But I felt her staring at me like a ghost from a life she threw away. And to be real with you, I wasn't even mad at that point. I was centered, cold but calm. Because the thing is, once you stop wanting someone to come back, their power over you disappears like a damn fog lifting. After the presentation, Tanner pulled me aside. "Hey man," he said, "I didn't realize you and Madison knew each other." I gave a soft chuckle. "Yeah, we used to date." He nodded, smirking like a frat bro who thinks he won a competition. Small world, huh? Bro, you have no idea. The next day, Madison texted me. "Madison, hey, can we talk, please?" I let it sit for hours. Then I replied, "Me sure, I'll be around after the contract review. Conference room C." She showed up looking like she hadn't slept. Same blazer I saw her wear the night she dumped me. I wondered if she remembered that. I did. She sat down across from me, fidgeting with her phone. "I didn't know it was you," she said. "I figured." She bit her lip. "I didn't mean for it to end like that. I was just confused. There was a lot going on." I didn't say anything. "I know I hurt you," she continued. "I was wrong. I should have supported you more." Now listen, this is where most people go soft. Where they hear that little crack in their ex's voice and want to be the bigger person. Not me. You didn't just hurt me, Madison. You disrespected me. You talked down to me. You looked me in the face and told me I wasn't good enough. Her eyes got watery. She nodded like she expected this. And then I continued, "You turned around and got with your boss like this was some high school rebound. You called what we had safe, like that was a bad thing, like stability was some kind of flaw." "I was lost," she said, her voice breaking. "No," I snapped. "You were chasing validation, and you used me as a damn stepping stone." She wiped her face. "I thought you were comfortable, that you'd stay small forever." I leaned back in the chair and looked her dead in the eye. "I was building something you didn't even bother to ask about. You were too busy trying to impress a guy with a business card." Then I stood up. "This conversation's done. I've got a company to run." She stood too, reached out. "Ethan, I miss you." That's when I said the line I'd been saving for months. "You missed the version of me you thought would never leave. The one who made your life easier while you chased whatever shiny thing felt important that week. But that guy's gone. You broke him. What's left, he builds empires." And I walked the hell out. The acquisition moved fast. Within a week, the board greenlit the merger. Tanner called me to celebrate. I said I'd see him at the integration meeting. You ever watched someone slowly realize they're no longer in control? That meeting was delicious. I walked in with my CTO, our legal counsel, and a slide deck titled Efficiency Audit Structural Redundancies and Cultural Risks. Translation: We're cleaning house. Tanner was sweating by slide 6. By slide 10, I asked him to step out for a sidebar. He looked nervous. "Let me guess," he said, trying to keep it light. "I'm on the chopping block." I nodded. "This isn't personal. You're not a fit for the new direction." He opened his mouth like he was going to argue, then thought better of it. Smart man. That same afternoon, Madison emailed me again. "Please, I need closure. I feel like I lost something real and I didn't even realize it until it was too late." I stared at that line for a while. She did know something. real joy. The kind that comes from building something with your own hands. 2 hours later, she liked it. Then unliked it. Then liked it again. Yeah, that kind of spiral. That night I went home, poured a whiskey, and sat in the kitchen I renovated myself. The same one she said felt too humble for her vision board. My dog Kilo curled up at my feet. I watched the sun dip below the hills and thought about how close I came to letting someone else define my worth. Never again. You know what hits different than revenge? Peace. Peace is louder than rage, more powerful than receipts. When someone sees you thriving, not to spite them, not to prove anything, just thriving because you chose yourself, that's when it lands. Because they realize they were never the main character in your story. Just a temporary chapter. And me. I've got volumes left to write. A few days after the acquisition, everything started settling. Tanner was out. Quietly, no drama. Just one of those corporate emails that says, effective immediately, Tanner Quinn will be pursuing other opportunities. We thank him for his contributions. Translation: dude got booted, and we're not even wasting a full sentence on it. I didn't feel bad. He walked around like every room owed him attention. Like anyone who didn't wear Allbirds and speak in pitch decks wasn't worth his time. I was the walking contradiction to that. Madison, though, that was more complicated. She didn't get fired or demoted. I didn't want to be that guy. She stayed on, but her department got merged with another team. New manager, new structure. Less shine. No more hand-delivered praise from her boyfriend boss. Just work. And I think that hit harder than anything I could have done on purpose. Because she had to sit in that office every day watching people talk about the guy who built the thing we now rely on, watching Slack threads and emails where my name came up again and again. And she had to live in that slow, creeping regret. The kind that doesn't explode, just simmers. A week later, I stopped by the office to sign some final paperwork. Didn't plan to see her, wasn't trying to. But fate's got a sick sense of humor sometimes. I was leaving the elevator when the doors opened and there she was, arms full of binders, earbuds, and looking exhausted. She froze, so did I. For a second, I swear we were back in her old apartment binge-watching trash Netflix and ordering Thai food pretending we weren't drifting. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, just less. She pulled one earbud out. "Hey." I nodded. "Hey." Silence. Then she said, "Can I ask you something?" I shrugged. "Sure." "What changed?" she asked. "I mean, after me. After we ended. How did you do all this?" I looked at her, really looked. Not with anger, not even with pride. Just honesty. "You did," I said. Her eyebrows scrunched. "What?" "You pushed me. Maybe not in a kind way, but you did. You showed me exactly what it looks like when someone underestimates me. When someone sees only the outside. And I needed that." She looked like she was trying to swallow something stuck in her throat. "I wasn't trying to make you feel small," she said, barely audible. "But you did," I replied. "And that's okay now. I'm past it. I don't hate you. I just don't need anything from you anymore." The elevator dinged behind me. I stepped in, hit the ground floor button, and left her standing there. That night, my phone lit up. "Private number. Late." I let it ring. Voicemail came through. I hesitated, then played it. Her voice, soft, almost a whisper. "I know I don't have the right to ask, but I miss you. Not just you. The way you made me feel like I could breathe. Like I didn't have to perform all the time. I lost that. I lost me. And you were the only person who never asked me to be anything other than real. I'm sorry." I didn't know what to feel. Part of me wanted to cry, another part laugh, and yet another. That version of me, the one who waited for that voicemail, who stayed up nights wondering if she even saw him, that guy was long gone. I listened to it twice, then deleted it. The next morning, I met with my mom for coffee. She never liked Madison. Always said, "That girl smiles with her teeth, but not her eyes." I used to roll my eyes at that. Now I knew exactly what she meant. We sat at our usual corner booth, and she asked how things were going. "Solid," I said, quiet. She gave me that mom look. The one that says, "I see more than you're telling me." "You doing okay, really?" she asked. And I paused. I thought I wanted revenge, I told her. I really did. Thought if I got big enough, successful enough, she'd come crawling back and I'd slam the door. She sipped her tea, waiting. But now that I've got all this, I don't feel the need to slam anything. I don't even want her back. I just want peace. Mom nodded. That means you're healing. And damn, she was right. Later that week, something unexpected happened. I got a message from one of Madison's old coworkers, Sarah. We'd met once at a holiday thing. She was cool, dry sense of humor. Always seemed like she was watching the circus from the outside. Her DM just said, "You probably don't care anymore, but Madison's leaving the company. Just thought you should know. Also, she always spoke about you. Even after. Especially after." I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't say anything. But I won't lie, it stirred something in me. Not longing, not forgiveness. Just closure, like a weight finally falling off. She was moving on, and so was I. Not on parallel tracks, not with some romantic reunion in the rain. Just separate directions. For the first time, I didn't feel angry, didn't feel the need to prove myself. I'd already done it not to her, to me. I went home that night and opened the old wooden box on my shelf, the one where I kept the ring. Yeah, I still had it. The one I designed with both our birthstones tucked into a box that lit up yes or no depending on which button you pressed. So dumb, so sweet, so completely me. I looked at it, felt a pang in my chest, then quietly closed the lid. Not out of sadness. Out of respect for the man I used to be. The guy who loved without fear, who gave everything. And the guy who learned finally to love himself just as much. That's the thing people don't talk about. You can win. You can get the revenge. Buy the building they work in, fire their new flame, post the wins, block the numbers. But the real power is when you don't even need to. When you're so rooted in your own peace, your own worth, that no past version of you, the hurt one, the ignored one, the underestimated one, runs the show anymore. You become the person your ex would never recognize. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped shrinking for people who never saw your size to begin with. A few weeks passed. Quiet ones. The kind of quiet that doesn't feel empty, just still. Like the air after a thunderstorm. My team and I had just finished onboarding the new clients from the merger. HR stuff always comes with headaches, compliance audits, data transfers, software training, but it was running smoother than expected. Probably because I wasn't letting anything shake me anymore. Even when Madison's name popped up in emails here and there, I didn't flinch. She was still with the company for now, technically helping with transition stuff, but her calendar started thinning out. Word was she had one foot out. I didn't ask, didn't care. That chapter was closing not with some grand slam or explosion, just turning a page. Until the text came. From her. It was a Thursday night. I was at the gym halfway through deadlifts when my phone buzzed on the bench. I saw her name and almost dropped the barbell. Madison. Hey, I know I said a lot before, but I'd really like to see you. One last time. I'll keep it short. No drama. I sat on the bench towel over my head trying to feel anything. Anger, no. Excitement, not even a little. Just this odd, detached curiosity. Like, why now? I didn't respond. The next day, she showed up. I shit you not. I was at the new shared workspace where my team had moved in, nothing fancy, just glass walls, exposed brick, a coffee bar that served oat milk like it was gold, and suddenly my admin popped in. Hey, there's someone asking for you. She said she knows you personally. I already knew who it was. Madison stood there in the lobby in jeans and a cardigan. No power blazer, no heels, just real. Vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen since we were 23, splitting grocery bills and watching Shark Tank on my busted couch. I walked out and said nothing. She took a deep breath. I know you don't owe me this. I just needed to say it in person. I waited. I left, she said. The company, everything. I'm going back to school. Want to get my counseling degree. Do something that feels less performative. I nodded. Good for you. She looked surprised. Like she expected me to slam her with some monologue or smug little line, but I didn't have any of that in me. She wasn't my enemy anymore. She was just someone I used to love. She looked down. You probably hate me. I don't, I said. Another beat of silence. I really thought I was upgrading, she whispered. But I didn't realize. You don't upgrade from someone who would have done anything for you. You lose them. I could have said a lot right then. Could have reminded her of all the nights I drove hours to bring her food during finals, or how I paid her rent once when her internship cut her hours, or how I designed a proposal ring instead of buying one just so it felt more us. But what was the point? We both knew the answer already. I gave her a small nod. I hope you find peace. She blinked. I think she wanted more, maybe forgiveness, maybe even a sign that the door wasn't totally closed. But it was. Not slammed. Just gently shut, locked. And I threw the key into the damn ocean. That weekend, I drove upstate. There's this cabin my uncle left me when he passed, nothing crazy, just some wooden windows near a quiet lake. I hadn't been in months, but something pulled me there. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe I needed to be somewhere that didn't have Wi-Fi or recycled air. I brought Kilo a bottle of bourbon and my journal. Yeah, I journaled, don't at me. I sat on the porch, the lake calm as glass, and started writing. Not about her, not about revenge. About what I wanted now. For years, I thought everything I did, building the company, proving myself, staying quiet while others underestimated me, was about showing people I was enough. But that weekend, I realized, screw that. I don't need to show anyone. I just need to be. Be the kind of man who wakes up knowing he doesn't owe anyone an explanation. Be the kind of man who builds something honest, takes care of his team, respects himself enough to walk away when someone stops appreciating him. Be the kind of man who doesn't settle for a seat at the table when he can just build the damn house. On the last night there, I took the ring with me to the dock. Yeah, I brought it. Felt like the final boss I had to face. I opened the box and stared at it, that little heart of birthstones framed in diamonds I handpicked. A part of me wanted to chuck it into the lake. But I didn't. I closed the box, walked back inside, and mailed it to a nonprofit that helps women rebuild their lives after financial abuse and relationship trauma. Let them sell it, auction it, whatever. Let something good come out of it. I was done carrying ghosts. The next week back in the city, my company got featured in a local startup mag. The headline was something cheesy like, "From Pipes to Platforms, How a Tradesman Quietly Took Over Tech." I laughed, but the article was good, honest. Talked about how I used to run plumbing crews, how I saw the chaos in back-end ops and built something to fix it. No jargon, just grit. That article made the rounds, even got picked up by a national podcast. They asked me to speak. At first, I almost declined. Felt weird, vulnerable. Like, who the hell cares what I have to say? But then I thought about younger me. The one who sat in a garage after a breakup, fingers on a keyboard, heart in a blender trying to turn pain into code. That guy deserved to be heard. So I said yes. At the live taping, they asked me near the end, if you could go back and tell your past self one thing, what would it be? I paused. Then said, let them underestimate you. Let them think you're just the guy who fixes sinks or answers calls. Because when you stop trying to prove them wrong and just prove yourself right, you win. Quietly, completely. The audience clapped. I didn't need it. I just smiled. And in that moment, I felt weightless. Not because I won, but because I had nothing left to carry. A couple months after that podcast aired, life just felt normal again. Not perfect, not fireworks, but clean, clear. Lumen work was running strong. I'd hired a few more people, scaled customer service, added in mental health benefits for the team because burnout's real and I'd lived it. I wasn't working 80-hour weeks anymore. I actually had a life again. That was the biggest shift. I finally had the space to breathe. No more reactive moves, no more revenge fantasies. Just living. And that's when I met Claire. She wasn't dramatic. Didn't try to decode me or ask about my ambition level 5 minutes into conversation. She wasn't in tech, wasn't chasing some startup equity or trying to pivot into product strategy or whatever. She ran a small independent bookstore with her sister. Yeah, a real one, with paperbacks and handwritten recommendations and a corner for kids to read in beanbags. We met through a friend. Total accident. They were a short one-player for trivia night at some dive bar. I only went because I owed the friend a favor for helping with my app's UX layout. Claire smoked us all in every literature question and called me out for calling F. Scott Fitzgerald the dude who peaked in Chapter 2. I remember thinking, God, this is nice. Not fireworks, not obsession. Just nice. We didn't even exchange numbers that night. I figured she wasn't interested. But 2 days later, I walked into her bookstore to buy a birthday gift for my niece, and boom, there she was unboxing new arrivals and humming to herself. Ethan, she said, surprised. I blinked. You remembered my name. She laughed. You were the only guy who thought The Great Gatsby was about bad real estate choices. Touché. We talked for like 20 minutes standing between a stack of cookbooks and a display of ceramic plant pots. She asked real questions. The kind that don't come from LinkedIn bios. How did you start your company? What made you stick with it after the first failure? What's the best thing you've built that no one knows about? She didn't ask for my revenue stats. She didn't name drop anyone. She didn't care how scalable my systems were. She just listened. And for once, I didn't feel like I had to wear my success like armor. We grabbed coffee the next week. Not a date, not officially, just caffeine and conversation. She told me about her mom, how they used to read together every night growing up, how that turned into her passion for books, how her ex left because he said she wasn't ambitious enough. That line hit different. Not because it was the same thing I'd heard, but because she didn't let it break her. She turned it into a life she could be proud of. I respected the hell out of that. Things didn't move fast between us, and that was the beauty of it. We had dinners, walks, a beach day where Kilo stole her sandwich and she didn't even get mad, just laughed so hard she cried. One night a few months in, we sat on my porch watching the sky shift into that burnt orange kind of dusk that makes everything feel poetic. She looked over and said, "You're not afraid of quiet, are you?" I shook my head. Quiet's underrated. She smiled. Everyone I've dated thinks silence means something's wrong. I chuckled. Maybe that's why I build things, so the silence has structure. She leaned against my shoulder, and we just sat there. No drama, no tests, no what are we conversations. Just presence. I never brought up Madison. Not really. Claire knew eventually. I told her one night the short version, not the saga. She didn't press. Just said, I'm glad you healed from it. That kind of hurt. It can eat people alive. She wasn't wrong. I'd seen it, felt it. That version of me, the one who ran himself into the ground to prove he was worth keeping, he was gone. Replaced by someone quieter. Not because he had less to say, but because he finally realized not everyone deserves to hear it. One day, out of nowhere, I got a card in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was familiar. Inside was a simple note. I saw the article and the podcast. You really did become everything I said you weren't. I hope you're happy now, M. I folded it, placed it back in the envelope, and tossed it in the fireplace. No ceremony, no lingering stare, just gone. Claire saw me do it. She didn't ask. She just placed a cup of tea next to me, kissed my temple, and walked away humming some tune I didn't recognize. That to me was the real full circle. Not the revenge. Not the glow-up. But sitting next to someone who didn't need to dig through my past to love who I am now. Later that week, Claire handed me a wrapped package. For your office, she said. I opened it. It was a framed quote, simple, black lettering on white paper. Let them leave. Let them doubt you. Let them miss out. You'll still build the life they said you couldn't. I stared at it for a full minute. Too cheesy, she asked, suddenly nervous. No, I said, it's perfect. And I meant it. We don't always get Hollywood endings. No slow-motion airport chases, no rain-drenched confessions, no perfectly timed violins swelling in the background. Sometimes we just get peace. Sometimes we get a partner who lets us exist without constantly performing. Sometimes we heal. Not because someone fixed us, but because we finally stopped trying to be what broke us.